Welcome to Prime Suspects for your weekly insider's look behind the counter of Prime Sports. Alongside Joe Brennan Jr. and Adam Bjorn, I'm your host, Matt Landis. This week's topics include Arizona showing strong growth as Prime progresses toward entering the market, the latest DraftKings acquisition and what it suggests about the future of microbetting, and a look ahead to the NFL season with kickoff right around the corner. Guys, diving into the latest from inside Prime Sports, Arizona's newly reported numbers for June show 13.5% year-over-year growth in terms of handle. Joe, want to come to you first here. How does Prime size up Arizona, given both the local market dynamic and these recently reported numbers?
Between Adam and I, we've been looking at Arizona for a long time. Arizona is a great potential market for us, and it fits a template that we have right now for markets that we want to enter here in the U.S. over the course of the next, we'll say, 2 to 3 years. Arizona, last year, they were number 7 in total handle with just a little over $6.5 billion. That was pretty strong. They were on a per capita, I think they were number 6 or higher on that, with close to a little over $900, approaching $1,000. And that's with a relatively new market. I imagine that it's probably going to be a bit higher right now. But for our purposes, it might be not just that Arizona is a good growing state and the population growth, per capita available entertainment spend, all those things are really nice. They're definitely in Arizona's favor. But the fact that it borders, for instance, it's a mere 45-minute drive from downtown Las Vegas to the Arizona border. And with, Nevada still having the highest per capita spend for sports bettors over $2,000, well ahead of New Jersey second and $1,800, having an ability to be able to tap into that market from just on the other side of the border is spectacular. You add into that obviously Arizona shares a border with Southern California. If Southern California was a legal state, it would be the biggest sports betting state by a mile. It would leave New York in the dust. So add to that it's also sharing a border with Colorado, New Mexico. And you know what? All of those people in Utah who will probably never have legal local betting in state, they got to go somewhere. And instead of just taking the drive to Nevada, taking it south to Arizona might be an easy option for them as well. So operating in that area of the country, operating in that state, it's kind of a no-brainer for a growth strategy that targets hub states, regions, rather than just individual states. And so I think that's one reason why Adam and I have been so interested in that for so long.
Adam, sounds like a ton of upside here. You hinted on Twitter that a launch in the Grand Canyon state could happen as soon as Thanksgiving, if not a touch sooner. What's your perspective on the latest from Inside Prime's plan to enter Arizona since first hinting at it during our live show at Bet Bash?
Yeah, I mean, just to repeat most of the stuff that Joe sort of said, again, right on the border of Nevada. I mean, its own state, it definitely holds up. California there, New Mexico's retail only. I've heard stories of people from Texas, ranchers jumping in their helicopter and heading over to Arizona to place their bets and then head back home. So, we're just happy to plant a flag somewhere and then try and broaden that net as far as possible. As for the headlines, like most of these U.S. publications that come with these headlines, it's pure vanity numbers. Year over year to last year's June, there was no Euros, there was no Copa, all those kind of things. I know that's their job to throw out these headlines and pump up the numbers. Without doing that, Arizona is a great state to come into. Having been there recently, met the tribe, went out to one of their casinos, had a look around and whatnot. I'm looking forward to that state as much as any state we've been into, equivalent to sort of New Jersey. This is the venture out west, and I hope to rattle a few cages while we're out there.
All right, well, from the latest on Prime's plans for Arizona to a leading book that's currently operating there, our water cooler segment this week focuses on DraftKings and its recent acquisition of micro-betting specialist Simplebet, reportedly for up to $195 million. DraftKings also recently acquired pricing provider Sports IQ. Adam, what do you think this tells us about their strategy for the foreseeable future?
They have no idea what the hell they're doing, and they're just out there with the checkbook and picking up things as they go along to some point. Sports IQ was a good product. I think their same game parlays and some of their prop stuff is a piece of the puzzle. Simplebet's product, I've said it for a long time, I'm not a fan of it. I do know they have some components within their ecosystem that we're definitely looking at closer and, have sort of taken the opportunity to speak with them a bit more. I mean, this was the worst kept secret in sports betting acquisitions. This has been on the table for probably 2 years. It's been a done deal for probably a year. I think the Sports IQ acquisition is what, delayed it another 6 months or something like that. But this was sort of always going to happen. I have heard a lot of good stuff inside Simplebet since, their previous management was shipped out and they've had different people running it sort of, I guess, the last 6 or 12 months. But again, ultimately DraftKings, they have the money, they have what they need to do. They're picking up pieces where they think it'll help it. You still need a captain to drive this trading ship. I'm not sure it exists within their ecosystem. But again, they're one of the big boys. They're going to be in the top 2 in the market for a long time to come yet. So, why not splash a few headlines, try and bump up that stock price? Because ultimately, I think that's the most they're going to get out of this until they sort of change their little MO a little bit.
Joe, diving in a bit deeper, it seems like the biggest impact here may be on the micro betting category. We saw a post on Twitter by Greg Ehrenberg. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Greg, calling out that DraftKings has started to remove unders from the WNBA prop market. Now it looks like almost all available prop bets are one-way markets where you can only bet overs. What's your outlook for micro betting as it relates to the recent DraftKings news?
I mean, I would probably take a more macro view of this, and that, look, everybody knows that the flagships, the 2 bigs up in front, Fan Kings, are heavily reliant on SGP, curated parlay products. Once you get past the betting on sides and totals or money lines, what else are you going to, they need stocking stuffers. So all they're really doing is they're just massing as much content as possible. Is it profitable content? Not outside of their SGP product. So I just imagine that all of this is going to be an attempt to just try and, broaden as much as possible the kind of content that they can offer on players going deep. Like they're going deep into the bench in WNBA. You can only imagine what it's going to be like for NBA and other sports. It does also, again, I get it, removing the negative markets. I don't think they're doing it for, the anti-negativity movement that you have with Colorado regulators, but they're probably doing it as a way of guarding against a Jonte Porter type scenario while they do get deeper and deeper into individual player props and go deeper and deeper into the rosters beyond we'll say like the top performers, top statistical performers. So all it really tells you in the end is they're going to continue to rely on these higher margin products. They're less concerned about the amount that they're returning to their players. They're more concerned about pushing up their margins and kind of redefining sports betting as a margin product rather than a volume product, which is what it is in the rest of the world. That's fine. It's a valid exercise. You do kind of wonder, though, how much more growth is left in the SGP and curated parlay products, at least in this current iteration, absent any kind of innovation that may happen. But so far, we don't see it either at those 2 big ships. And I don't really see it on the margins in any smaller players or even in in some of the non-regulated products like sweepstakes. So anyway, it's like, how can we supercharge SGPs even more and make them super SGPs, I guess.
Adam, before we move on from this topic, I'd like to get your point of view, given your wealth of experience on both sides of the counter. To Joe's point, this could be one step toward guarding against a potential repeat of the Jonte Porter scandal. At the same time, as a bettor, I see these one-way markets and realize that there's probably a lot of extra vig being hidden when you can only bet these to the over as opposed to being able to take the over or the under. When you get behind the counter from a risk management perspective, what do you make of the likely proliferation of more and more one-way prop betting markets in the future?
Yeah, I mean, to me, this was actually a really bad example because when you'd go to the 8+, it was minus 2,500. So how much vig is really left in that 7 and under for those examples? It'd be different if the bottom market was minus 150, minus 200, but it was minus 2,500. But again, this is sort of the way some of these places are going. With the Colorado thing, again, they took out all the negative stuff, which is covering their asses on what happened in the NBA. But again, I think what it does is ultimately finds these things out. You're better off because It doesn't matter what they offer. Once they change the rules and only go to a certain point, if anyone wants to be nefarious in this thing, they'll find a way to fit within the realm that's being offered. This isn't, don't offer unders, you're going to shut down the whole market. No, they're just going to find other ways to do it if they ultimately want to achieve that goal. So again, by offering everything, by keeping everything in the regulated market, because sure as hell on the unregulated market, they're offering the unders. You get to capture all that play, you get to see all that stuff. And then, you have the visibility and the data to ultimately see what's happening and make certain decisions. But again, it's the mindset of not truly understanding how this ecosystem work and the industry work, and having seen it from, all angles over the past 3 decades. People will find a way if they want to do it. So offer the markets, offer fair house edge. I mean, when you add up that percentage anyway, it's, you can tell that there's plenty on the house's side. So leaving out that 5 or 6% doesn't really hurt it at the end of the day. But it is a bad direction into head. And it just gives, again, lots of people opportunities to throw darts.
All right. Well, from smaller betting markets to perhaps the biggest of them all, our look ahead segment this week will focus on the NFL season kicking off on Thursday with Kansas City hosting Baltimore. Guys, consider this me throwing up a jump ball to the two of you. Whoever wants to take this one first, hop on in. What do you expect to see this coming season when it comes to anything on the field and especially in the betting markets?
More markets, more bets, more volume. I mean, put up the numbers, take the bets. I'm looking forward to playing around a bit with especially the arbitraging. And thankfully, right behind us will be Sport Trade coming in Arizona, or maybe they'll be there before we get there, looking at some of these other states and things like that. But again, it's football season. While NFL is not the biggest bet sport by any way, it's actually quite small comparing to other sports. It does capture the attention. There's a lot of, this is the only time they come out and bet. Obviously, it's our first football season in New Jersey. So it's really going to see, try to pick up some of those added players, people that have been saying for months, well, I'm just waiting to football season to make my deposit, seeing if they come out of the woodworks. And then ultimately, just playing around with some of these ARB services and release services. I had some fun Saturday morning with the right angle sports stuff. Plan to do a lot more of that going forward. But ultimately, the goal is put up a number, take people's money, let them have a bet, and the rest will take care of itself.
Quick follow-up there, Adam. If people are hearing this and maybe they don't bet with Prime yet, but especially with an upcoming launch in Arizona, this could be a bigger opportunity. As you touch on the arbitrage angle that Prime has already taken in golf and some other markets, for anybody who may be new to this, explain maybe what they could look out for when it comes to specific edges to look to capture via Prime Sports this coming football season.
Again, it's just the ability to, whatever you do, you'll be welcome to do it, in a sense of, knowing that you're arbitraging against any other of the books in the States, making sure that, again, you don't have to have all your bankroll with us, but you want to have a piece of it there just in case something pops up. And, we get crazy at times and we hang numbers that are just completely off market because we want to have some fun of it or build a position. So it's sort of there for the taking. We don't roll out the big bonuses and all these kind of things that get indoor. It's just a true bookmaking product to sort of let them come in and have a go at it. And then on the flip side, there was something I raised yesterday when I was on a different thing with Unabated, understanding how to do these arbitrages. So just to give it an example, bet the dogs with us, bet the favorites elsewhere, so you don't burn accounts and things like that. We don't mind that. Come in and hit those dogs, have a few winners, whatnot, so be it. But knowing how to use us as part of that tool of not burning other accounts in your ecosystem are some of the things I'm sort of noticing more and more to get that word out of attack this here, come here to do this. And, the unfortunate thing is a lot of people know on certain things our number is the best number. So the ones that do have a bit of risk in them will just go bet the other side where there's the overlay. But there's a lot of people that I'm meeting and learning that just want zero risk. So they're just taking both sides, no matter if they think one side's right or the other. And ultimately, whenever you're arbitraging, there is one right side or not. So again, it's just educating, inviting, talking, pushing them in, giving them opportunities, and then payments on the other end when they need to move money around.
Got it. And Joe, I want to get your thoughts in just a moment. I can't help myself, Adam, with one more follow-up here. You mentioned sometimes hanging crazy numbers that are way off market. When you do that, how much of that is designed to balance action a little bit from your own perspective? How much of it is because you want to take a stand given the way that your team may handicap something differently than the rest of the market? And how much of it may be something else beyond those two classifications?
Yeah, when I went to bookmaking school, I never went to the class of balancing the book. So I'm not very good at that side of it. Usually it's to just put something out there because I have a strong opinion. Something now that I've learned how taxes and things are paid, I'm looking to sort of come in with Jets odds and pump them up this week, hopefully in New Jersey, get some people in, maybe double the odds of what's available, things like that. But just different things like that where, again, we're not looking to just give away the free money, roll out big bonuses. We like to hang some little nuggets and Christmas presents in amongst it all that, the right people will find. And it's kind of the pushback of, I haven't been in a hurry to get on screens because ultimately the people that are doing the hard work and the hard yards, they'll find the nuggets. So let's give them an advantage for a little while. And then ultimately we'll get on a screen and then you'll have all the sharks and that just, chipping away.
Joe, if our video that people are watching on YouTube didn't have us in gallery view when Adam started answering that question, I think I might have seen you roll your eyes a bit. There we go. We see it again right now. It seems like this risk management approach can be high risk, high reward. When it comes to something as big as the NFL, how does that inform your outlook for the upcoming season?
I'll tell you, sometimes like working with Adam's like, your partner is the bucking bull at the rodeo. Like, we're going to do what? All right, sure. But it's a good way of innovating, to the point of, look, it's better to offer better product, better markets, that it says something more about who we are and what our philosophy is. And then also what we think of our customers, like everything from the kind of, roller coaster ride markets that Adam is going to put me through and make me go grayer than I'm already, part of that high risk, high reward strategy, to the kind of partners that we're going to be rolling out to. I mean, yeah, we're not on the big screens yet, like Spank Odds and Don Best and everything like that. But one of the things that we are going to be doing is we're going to be working with a lot of the, the ARB services and positive EV plays and folks like that. I constantly refer to them. You guys have heard me before say the garage bands out there, because there's a lot of really interesting pro player services, apps, things like that. And that's where we want to go for our traffic right now, because they are the kind of people that are looking to get an edge. They're looking to do something more entertainment wise. And so we think, or more than entertainment, I should say, those are serious sports bettors. That's what we want. We know we're not for everybody. I mean, if what you're into is just bonus, odds boost, like all that crap, yeah, we are not your sports book. If you're into taking a shot at making some serious bets, maybe some pretty big money bets on some serious markets with guys who, if you win, we're not going to give you 4 months of paperwork in order to be able to cash out on that win. We'll cash out right away. That's where we're going. And so I think between like some of the work that Adam was doing with Unabated and Right Angle Sports, some of the folks that we've been talking to, I'll give shout outs to like Pick the Odds and Dark Horse Odds and some of the others that we're going to be dealing with. Those guys, they don't have the big profiles that some of the other services do, but we really like the kind of players that they're bringing, the attitude of those players. They're strong in our markets. And so it'll be interesting, especially if now going to be live in New Jersey this year. New Jersey is really it. It's a ball game. All the other states are interesting to one degree or another, but New Jersey is the most interesting because of that concentration of liquidity from the East Coast there. All the really serious guys are going to be playing with us or are already playing with us. Our numbers are really solid there. We're coming off another month where we're a win against all the Assassins, all the Masters, heading into September. It's just, everything's great. Everything's pointing in a good direction. We're getting to the people. We're reaching the people that we know will be good long-term players for us. And then after that, after we lock that up and we show the marketplace that you don't have to screw these guys in order to be able to make a profit, then we'll then start pushing out and seeing how we can appeal to, we'll say, more casual players. But we want to own that serious player market this football season. And if people are looking for pricing, if they're looking for the best opportunities and they don't realize it's at Prime, I don't know how much more. I guess I have to send Adam to your front door to make the case. So, but I think we're in a really strong position, and I've got a couple of gallons of Pepto-Bismol here in the office to get me through all the little roller coaster rides that Adam's going to put me through here for the next 6 months.
All right. I feel like that Pepto-Bismol intake might be increasing on both sides of the counter as everybody gets eager for football season to kick off, and perhaps some bettors and bookmakers alike on edge as the football season gets rolling. To the audience, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up for this episode. And with the football season just getting started, we will do our best to bring you our peak midseason form week in and week out. In the meantime, enjoy the first full slate of the NFL season. Thanks as always for making us a part of your week, and we will catch you next week right back here on Prime Suspects. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Prime Suspects. Register for Prime Sports at primesports.com and download the Prime Sports app. You can follow us on Twitter at Prime Sportsbook, at Joe Brennan Jr., and at Adam Bjorn 2. You must be 21 or over to play on Prime Sports. Always bet responsibly and within your limits. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.